Hi everybody, about a year ago I made a video called Things Men Need to Know About Periods, or something like that. I'll leave a link to it just up there. And it was a kind of an entry-level video to how men don't know anything about periods and menstruation, and it's the things that they really do need to know, especially if they're in a straight relationship or if they just know people, really. They know anybody who has a period. They really kind of do need to know about this kind of thing, so they can be understanding and actually understand what's going on. And a few months ago I went to a Pride and Prejudice marathon in Shoreditch in aid of the Red Box Project. It was run by Lena Norms, who you might know from YouTube, and the Red Box Project are a organisation that get free sanitary products into schools. Why do they do that, you might ask? Well, thousands of girls every single year miss school because of what we call period poverty, where they can't afford to have sanitary products. So when they're on the period, they feel like they can't go into school, which, is not good and should never happen. It's just something that your body does naturally. It shouldn't make you miss school when it really doesn't have to. So the event was raising money for the Red Box Project, but also had donations of sanitary products. And I took something along. First time I've ever bought sanitary products in my entire life, but first time for everything. It was an experience, and I got an odd look from somebody in the aisle in the supermarket, but really good event. And if they do any more, I'll put them on the Twitter. It was on my Twitter and my Instagram, by the way, so you want to follow me on those. I should put them on there, and I suggest if you're free and you want to, turn up, bring some sanitary products. But onto the main bit of the video. Following on from my video last year, I wanted to give you some more advanced things, kind of advanced level knowledge, more things that men should know about periods. Advanced level. So I've got my list here. So, talking about sanitary products, there are lots of them. So you can have pads and tampons. I think we probably all know about those, but there are other things. You can have menstrual cups, such as Moon cups or Diva cups. Some brand names there. Other ones are available. And what happens is that the person that has the period puts it up their vagina for the time that they are on their period, and it fills up and they empty it at the end of the day or whenever it needs emptying. Or for people who have light periods, you can get period underwear. And that basically is some underwear which will soak up the blood, and of course you can wash it afterwards. So it's like having a panty liner which you can wear again and again. And of course there are other products available for women, but none of them are very cheap, and some of them are subject to VAT at 5 or 20%. But talking about the government have just announced a couple of weeks ago that they intend to have free sanitary products in all secondary schools. Don't know exactly when that's going to be, but funding has been announced. See how that goes. Statistically, 1 in 7 of the women that you talk to will be on their period. So the median cycle for a period is 28 to 29 days, and it usually lasts 4 days on average. So you're going to have about 14% of the time a woman will be on their period on average. The average woman, whatever that means. So 1 in 7, so if you know 70 women, then 10 of them will probably be on their periods. Gives you an indication of how often it affects people who have periods, Something else that men, or even indeed women, may not know is that you can have sex when the woman is on their period, and they can get pregnant from it. Sperm can live in the cervix and in the entrance to the uterus for a week. So even if the woman is coming off the end of her period, that doesn't mean she's not fertile, and it doesn't mean that she won't get pregnant. But it's good to know that you can have sex during periods. Period blood is a natural lubricant. It's not gross, it's just like any other bodily fluid. Top tip for you guys, if a woman does bleed whilst you're having sex, don't worry about it. No big deal, wipe it off, and you can either carry on or do whatever you two feel like doing. And actually, that does bring into focus that the stress of women having an active sex life is not acknowledged enough. It is to do with periods because it's to do with pregnancy. Men cannot get pregnant, and if they could, then they may not want to have sex quite so often. Don't discount how if a condom breaks or if contraception fails in other ways, the stress that it causes if a period is late for some reason can be quite extensive, can be mind-blowing in some respects. If they don't want to get pregnant, then it's very stressful indeed. The next one is that there are over 100 premenstrual symptoms, and most of them are uncomfortable. So the top ones are cramps that affect women every single time that they are on their cycle. That affects up to 88% of women. Acne when you're on your cycle. 60% of women affected by that. Sore breasts. Nearly 70% of women are affected by that. Bloating. 60% of women also affected by that. And diarrhea can affect a quarter of people who are on their periods. And a combination of any of those. Can you understand how it might be a bit stressful? But that's just what we term PMS, premenstrual syndrome. There's a very severe case of PMS, and that is called PMDD, which is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And it's usually for 1 to 2 weeks before the woman's cycle begins and will end a couple of days after. So we're talking half the time you're affected by this, and you could be off work, you could be unable to leave the house. It affects your daily life. And whilst it's an extreme case, it gives you an idea of, this is your body doing this to you, and it's a natural thing, and it means you're fertile, and that's brilliant, but it can be really stressful. So if you watched my video from last time, you'll know that it is my opinion that both men and women, boys and girls, should be taught this when they are taught this at school, when they're about 10 or 11 years old. And they should be taught it again when they're 14. And the reason is there is an information deficit between boys and girls when it comes to menstruation, when it comes to periods. And although obviously the people who don't have the wombs, who don't have to go through it, won't have the experience, but they will potentially have the empathy. And I don't know everything, because I learned a bunch of stuff while researching for this video. So that just gives you an idea of how much men and boys need to be taught, because they're not going to find out unless people tell them, or they find videos like this. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video and thought it was really useful. Do share and give it a like just down below. I make videos more or less every week, so subscribe so you don't miss a thing, and I shall see you next time. Bye-bye.